Welcome to Failure is Progress, presented by Sweat Factory CrossFit. I am Coach Frankie Ortega.
And I am Coach Keith Barber. Join us today as we discuss everything going on inside the CrossFit space and, more importantly, what new and exciting things are happening in our Sweat Factory CrossFit gyms.
As always, thank you to all of our listeners. We appreciate the support and truly enjoy the feedback we've been receiving from all of you.
Please reach out through our DMs on Instagram. If you aren't already following us, please do so at Failure is Progress, all lowercase. And now, on to today's episode.
All right, episode 29 of Failure is Progress, presented by Sweat Factory CrossFit, is in full swing. Coach Keith, how are you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well, brother. How are you?
I'm amazing. It's good to see you. We haven't seen each other in a little bit.
It's been a minute.
Yeah, been a little busy.
Yeah.
A little bit. I went to a gymnastics certification course a few weeks back. Gymnastics certification course. That sounds funny. Never in my life would have I thought doing anything gymnastics.
Yeah.
But let's talk about your weekend, man. How was your weekend?
It was great. I emceed for WOD Wars. That was really fun being out there with the athletes. I was at the pool event all day, so that was pretty cool.
Yeah, so you were emceeing from the pool?
Say it again?
You were emceeing from the pool?
Oh, yeah. So we had the mic and everything out there. About an hour in, the equipment started to overheat. Everything shut down. So we were like 20 or 30 minutes without any music or microphone or anything because we had to move everything like into the shade. But other than that, and the person that wasn't feeling too well, I think she was a little dehydrated. She had some massive cramps when she got out of the pool. This was luckily after the event, so she finished the whole event. But afterwards, she had some major cramping going on, so they had to get an IV in her, get some fluids in her. But everybody, for the most part, stayed safe. We had a couple head-to-head collisions.
In the pool?
Yeah, in the pool. So the way they had it set up was
I missed out.
You and the team next to you were sharing a lane, but you were only supposed to stay on your side of the lane. But people were turning around instead of, like when they turned around, they would go to the opposite side of the lane instead of turning around and staying in their lane while the other person is in their portion of the lane. So, yeah, you would just crash right into your,
That's rough.
your person. But, yeah.
Wow. Speaking of competitions, we have one coming up this weekend over at our Clermont location, Festivus for the rest of us.
Yes, sir.
But it's cool, man. It's awesome that it seems like the competition season is up and running. ACC is up in a couple months. Atlantic Coast Classic.
Yes, sir. That's going to be June. Ooh, I probably should know that because
I want to say 17 to the 20.
Hopefully I'm emceeing that one as well. That's going to be May 31st through the 2nd.
I was close. What else is up? We got Tampa Bay Games coming up.
Yeah, that one's
going to be September, I think.
September. I can tell you the exact dates in a second. Yep, September 7th and 8th for Tampa Bay.
We also have quarterfinals coming up. Actually, in a couple of days, we're going to be doing that at the Clermont location as well. We got a few of our coaches and athletes partaking in that. So competition season is definitely in full swing. I guess the Open is kind of
that's the kickoff.
The kickoff for all of that. That's fun. Yeah, man, it's an exciting time.
Oh.
So,
for the listeners that did make it to quarterfinals, we are running a little throwdown on Thursday night. So don't forget that the 6 p.m. class is canceled. We're going to be running heats for the quarterfinal workouts. So come out, even if you just want to come out and support, that's fine as well. If you want to come out and throw down.
Thursday the 18th, right?
Correct.
At the Clermont location.
18th at Clermont, 6 p.m. Be there or cancel your membership. No, I'm just kidding. Just joking. Just joking. Yeah, come out, support, cheer, them on.
I have a question. If you aren't a quarterfinals athlete, can you still partake and do the quarterfinals workout if you want to
Absolutely.
throw down with your friends?
Absolutely. Come out, throw down with them. That will definitely help them, like set a pace, set a tone, know where they're at. I know it helps me, so it may help them. So yeah, if you want to join in, you're more than welcome to.
That's awesome, man. That's awesome. All right, man. So speaking of the competition season, we also have a bunch of, I'm not going to call it the certification season, but in terms of our ongoing development within Sweat Factory, we've got a lot of stuff going on there as well. Like I said, a couple weeks ago, I did the gymnastics course, but we've also got the USAW Level 1 certification course that's going to be happening in the Afterburn location. That one's going to be, man, we got all of our dates.
I know that one I actually don't have down, and I feel bad about it.
I do have it down. It's in July. It's in July 13 and 14.
Oh, I did have that down.
We have that coming up as well, and I think we're actually getting in contact with the gymnastics course about doing the gymnastics course certification or the level 1 as well at the Afterburn location.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, there's a lot of growth and development going on within our team, which is great. I could tell you, man, I really enjoyed the gymnastics course. So one of the reasons why I took this course, this one that I went to was the only one they were doing in Florida this year.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that it was such a, I'm not going to say small, but it's not a very highly attended course that they offer. It's not an official CrossFit course. It's a separate company called the Gymnastics Course, and they provide certification credits for the CrossFit. I think I got like 14.
Oh, nice.
So I assume that only really counts if you're a level 3 and up, right?
I mean, unless you need it for something else,
Right.
like if you have your CSCS or I think even your PPSC, if you have that, you have to get a certain amount of credits every year to allow that to stay current. But yeah, if you have your level 3, you do have to get 36 continuing education units within 3 years before it expires so that you can maintain your level 3 status.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun, man. I learned a lot of things that I really enjoyed. I know that at the beginning of the year we had our one-on-one. As for those that don't know, Keith is our coach development coordinator, and he's also kind of the one who is holding all of us accountable to be better coaches. And on top of being better coaches, because he's such a nice guy, he helps us be better people too. But yeah, one of those things that we went over in my one-on-one was I wanted to work more on gymnastics. And I think as I've learned about CrossFit, I've learned more about what gymnastics really is. Because in my mind, gymnastics was always just an Olympic thing that you saw on TV. And the reality is gymnastics is really just body weight movements. It's anything you do moving your body in time and space, which once that kind of clicked to me, I was like, oh man, I didn't realize a push-up was considered gymnastics. I didn't realize an air squat was considered gymnastics. And so for me personally, that's one of those things that I really want to get better at, because everyone wants to move barbells. That's nice, but I want to be able to do muscle ups. I want to be able to do strict handstand push-ups. I want to be able to do handstand walks. Those are things that to me are kind of, I guess I'll use the word incredible. I think they're incredible that some people can do those things. We see it often because of the space that we're in, but really it's a very small percentage of the population that can do things like that. So yeah, I went to this and I really enjoyed it, man. I think one of the things that I enjoyed the most was learning a couple of their philosophies. One of them is doing everything in the pursuit of virtuosity. And we talk about virtuosity a lot in the gym because in CrossFit, it means doing the common uncommonly well. But even within CrossFit, that is derived from gymnastics,
Yeah.
which I wasn't aware of, at least not completely. But taking it even further, like doing movements virtuously. That was one of those things where the coach was explaining to us and my mind was just blown away, like a virtuous push-up.
Yeah.
I've never seen a virtuous push-up before, but you're basically doing a hollow hold into a push-up and you're doing it slowly and you're not touching the ground, but you're going to, where you're just a few centimeters off the ground and then again pushing right back up into that hollow. It's very difficult to do it properly, and that's one of those things that really got to me. I know that you did this course a while back, right?
Yeah, I did this course in 2016.
You did this before I even considered doing CrossFit. But yeah, is there anything from when you took it that you still apply to your coaching every single day?
Just about everything. Yeah, some of the main things are just that regardless of how, like you said, like the virtuosity aspect, like it can always be a little bit better. Like the best air squat you've ever seen can still be a little bit better. And then just realizing that even if you are in a Metcon, like, yes, we do want to go fast. Yes, intensity is what it is. But I was gonna give the whole definition, but I was like, they've heard my nerdiness enough.
That's all right, man. There's people that are listening to this for the first time.
True. So intensity is the independent variable most commonly associated with the rate of return on favorable adaptation. So
You did not read that. That just came off his head.
so yes, we do want to go fast. We do want to go hard. That is how we get results. But we also want to move really, really well, even inside that intensity aspect. So that's kind of one of the biggest things that I took away. And also that scaling doesn't always have to be scaling to maintain intensity. We can scale even if it is a slower movement or a movement that should be performed slower, to make sure that we're improving our movement quality rather than just scaling so that we can go faster or make sure that we meet the stimulus.
Yeah, I love that. We went over that in the course as well. Actually, not while we were in class, but like during one of the lunch breaks, we were chit-chatting with the coach, a few of us, and one of the things we talked about was, man, like, I am so sore from doing what we did, and we really didn't do a whole lot. We maybe did some arch and hollow holds, then we did some strict pull-ups. I don't know, I think we did like 10, but the way that we were doing them, we were working on doing a virtuous pull-up, where you're holding and maintaining a hollow throughout the entirety of the pull-up, and you're pausing at the bottom, and then you're holding for 2 seconds at the top. The pull-up, you're also trying to get as high as possible. It's not just your chin over the bar. And he said, yeah, that's part of the gymnastics mindset, which is, always doing everything to the next level. It's always trying to go a little bit further. And he said, you can get an entire workout and not even sweat, but your body is going to be in a lot of pain because you're going to be holding these positions. And it was kind of like when we do the level 1 certification, Clint calls it death by PVC pipe.
Yeah.
And it's funny because, they'll make you hold the bottom of a deadlift with a PVC pipe, and you're just sitting there for 10, 20, 30 seconds at a time over and over again. Before you know it, your body starts to hurt. There's no weight on that PVC pipe, but it starts getting heavy quick.
Yeah, it feels like 315.
And it's kind of it's kind of funny the way the body works that way, holding these positions. And we went over strict before kipping, which is a big thing in CrossFit. A lot of people have hated on CrossFit for years because we'll show butterfly pull-ups or we'll show kipping pull-ups, and people are doing them and they're flopping all over the place and whatnot. The gymnastics mindset is, learn how to do it strict before you start doing the kipping motion. And even then, the kipping was a different animal altogether. It wasn't the kind of kipping that I've been, learning in classes, and it was hard, man. When you're doing kipping movements where your toes are pointed out and you're squeezing every muscle in your body at the exact same time, trying to get that same explosiveness, it's very different from when you're throwing your body up in the air and trying to, recoup the rest of your body to follow. It was eye-opening, but also so educational for me. I came back to my classes with such a different mindset on my coaching. Like, trying to get everybody through our warm-ups now. I am so adamant about making sure that everybody's doing movements slowly. You know, everybody does. I'll give you an example. Yesterday we had shoulder taps. And when we do our shoulder taps, you demonstrate it so nicely. You know, you want your elbow in line with your shoulder, in line with your wrist. You want to make sure that you slightly move over to one side, tap your shoulder, then slightly move over to the other. You don't want to rock your hips. I watch people do shoulder taps, and it almost looks like they're in a hurry.
Yeah.
Like they're trying to get something over with.
They are. They're trying to get their hand back to the floor before their face does. That's exactly what they're doing. And I'll sometimes say that during class. It's just like, hey, guys, I want you to be able to say the words shift, lift, and tap. If you can't say that while you're doing shoulder taps, you're going too fast.
Oh, I like that. You've never done that one while I've been in your class, but I like that. But yeah, I mean, you know, yesterday I was telling everybody, make sure that you're doing this nice and easy, nice and slow down. And then when they slowed down, automatically hips went up.
Yeah.
They couldn't hold that plank anymore because now the brain is telling them, well, you can't do this at this speed. So now you got to compensate somewhere else. You know, the same thing happens when we have squats or front squats in our skill session. I like to make everybody go through tempo squats with the barbell before there's any weight on it. And being in those tempo squats, going down for 5 seconds makes it so much harder.
Yeah.
You know, the concentration that it takes for everybody. And that's an adaptation that I personally take straight from, one, from taking your classes, and two, from doing this gymnastics course. Like, you know, the other thing that I really liked was the mastery part. Trying to master movements, which is defined as the improvement of an athlete's skill to effectively use his or her motor potential. It's amazing. Like, I want to master my movements, you know, and saying it that way, it sounds funny, but when you think of it with the definition wrapped around it, you're like, damn, that means you have to get really, really good at using your body in ways you haven't really done before. You know, you have people who come in and they'll back squat 350, but they're not using their entire range of motion. They're not doing things as effectively as they could. You know, so yeah, it was a lot of fun to do this course. I'm looking forward to adding more of what I learned into my classes as I coach more. But yeah, man, I think the thing that blew me away the most was watching the coach demonstrate movements. Because I've seen you demonstrate movements, and for those that don't know, when me and Keith are in class, I call him the sexiest coach in CrossFit. And it comes from his ability to demonstrate movements in that masterful way. Not only can he demonstrate them well, he can also demonstrate how not to do them in slow motion, which is pretty cool. But yeah, watching this coach, like for example, a couple weeks ago, you were showing me and Jen how virtually nobody does strict toes to bar because it's very difficult. You basically have to fold like a pretzel.
Yeah.
And this guy was like, here, let me show you what a strict toes to bar is. And he did it in slow motion, toes pointed up, and he tapped his toes on the bar. And I was watching him, and his back did not move from that frontal plane. It was just static, and it was impressive. And then he did kipping toes to bar, but in the gymnastics version. And that was almost scary. All the athletes in the class watched this guy smack his toes against the bar. I would have broken my toes off if I hit my toes that hard against the bar. But he was like, yeah, you want to do it virtuously, and you want to do it with mastery. And I was like, I want to do it without breaking my toes off.
Not break my foot.
But it was really impressive. I mean, watching somebody have that much control of their body and being able to do it. And he said, you know, if I get into a workout where I have to do toes to bar, I crush everybody because the point A to point B for my movement is so much less than everybody else's. And that efficiency is just insane, man. Like everything he did was done perfectly, or as perfectly as you could.
Did you guys go over rings?
We went over rings on the second day.
Okay.
We did rings for the muscle ups.
Yeah.
the ring muscle ups.
You didn't do any low ring drills?
We did some low ring drills, yeah. Again, doing strict rings because that's all we learned. We learned how to do everything strict. We learned how to do everything slow. So when you can't even do them kipping, now you're trying to do them. It was just more difficult. But trying to get into those positions and into those shapes in a slow pace was, I don't know I don't know what word to use. Excruciatingly painful.
It's definitely more demanding on the system for sure.
It was different, and we were athletes of all levels. We had some guys who were very good. We had some guys who were a lot more flexible than others and were able to do things that we couldn't. But at the end of the day, it was like every time somebody was able to do a movement, he was like, "All right, cool, now try this. All right, cool, now try this." There's always something else that will make things harder on us.
Yeah.
I think the movement that I was able to do the best was the piked handstand push-up, which I can do slowly and virtuously, but still very difficult. Learning how to do the ring muscle ups is one of those things that it's just going to take so much time. Going from the ground, even like in a sitting position, bringing the rings to your hips, like that just takes an amount of strength that I don't have right now. I really don't. I've been doing a lot of gymnastics since this, because now I feel like I have more of a understanding of what I want to do and how to get there. But it's just so difficult, man. Like an hour workout, I may not do a whole lot in that hour, but my body goes through a lot in that whole hour. Like I told you last week, I took the week off from doing CrossFit workouts, and I just did gymnastics the whole week, and my body is still sore. My body's still sore from head to toe.
Yeah.
But last week I was working on a lot of what was I working on last week? Toes to bar and strict toes to bar, right?
Right.
So first trying to do strict knee raises and doing those, pausing at the top, bringing my feet down, pointing my toes at the bottom. I think I can only do like 3 at a time.
Yeah.
But now instead of swinging into it, I was using a barbell on J hooks to try to keep my body against something as I was doing that, and it was so painful. This week I started pull-ups and push-ups. I think they're starting a 6-week cycle, trying to prepare for Murph at the same time.
Okay.
So yesterday I started off, and it was I think 3 to 7 strict pull-ups, and 3 was a lot. I was doing like 2.5. But trying to get a strict pull-up, or should I say a strict chest to bar, is so difficult.
Yeah.
I'm not a very lightweight person, so it requires a lot of mastery. But
I'm pretty sure you're lighter than me right now.
well, I mean, I don't know. Either way, you're still like 6 feet, so
Fair.
you got a little, you got a few extra inches on me. Yes, I said that. But yeah, man. This is one of those things that I love about our space and what we're doing. Being able to go to these different learning environments, I'll call them, and take what we learn from this and bring it to our class and show it to our athletes. Like you were saying, the scaling options, scaling is very different in gymnastics than it is in CrossFit, right? We know scaling as, for the most part, as a negative thing, right? For the most part, people view scaling as a negative thing. I had this conversation yesterday with a ton of athletes. We had our workout, which was 16-minute EMOM, 6 hang power clean and jerks, and then 6 burpees over dumbbell. And I had so many athletes who wanted to do the highest weight, and our RX level didn't have a weight prescribed so that you could choose a heavier weight if you wanted to. And I had so many athletes who were just like, oh, yeah, for sure. I got this. What can I do? 70? Sure, you can do 70. Go for it. Those burpees are going to get you.
Yeah.
Speaking of gymnastics, those burpees are going to get you, and all of the athletes that I coached yesterday wished once they got to like round 10, maybe even round 8, they wished that they had gone lighter. And it's like I told them, you have to look at the workout for the totality of the workout. If the workout includes something that isn't one of your strengths, but is a huge weakness, understand that you shouldn't go RX for the entire workout. I'll use an example. 24.2, I think it was. Deadlifts at 185 or something.
Yeah.
Like that, 135.
185.
185, and then you had the rowing and you had the double unders. If the double unders your weakness, think about that. How are you going to get through those double unders in that workout? How are you going to get to that? I'm not saying scale down and do the single under version, but what is your goal for the workout? If you're trying to get through it, maybe go a little bit lighter, maybe do the scaled version and throw those double unders in there. Go through the lighter version of the workout, see how it's going to feel before you go and do the actual workout for the CrossFit Open. Try to get those double unders in a consistent pace. Let's say you can only do one at a time. Do one double under at a time. Do two double unders at a time. But I had so many people who were like, oh, well, I can't do double unders at all. Or, I'm not willing to try and put myself out there and do the double unders. And, it's almost like now you can't because you refuse to push yourself at the right times and then you push yourself at the wrong times.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm making any sense, but, we encourage people in our programming, if you cannot do double unders, to just double the amount and do single unders. If that's all you ever do and you don't push yourself in your workout to do the double unders, then you're never going to move forward and have that adaptation to get better at double unders, right? If there's 50 double unders and you do 100 single unders, you're not pushing yourself. I'd rather you do 25 double unders. It's going to take you that time of doing 50, or maybe do 10, fine. Do whatever it takes to mentally prepare yourself to start doing more double unders and then start adapting your body to doing more double unders.
There's also just other ways to scale that, much like our gymnastics movements, other than what's the typical scale. Like the typical scale for, like you just mentioned with the jump rope, the typical scale for double unders is, just double the singles. Everybody knows that. You can walk into any CrossFit gym at any point and say, hey, what are we scaling for double unders? Okay, we're going to double the singles. Cool. One, that's not a very effective way. If your goal is to master the skill of double unders, it's not a very effective way to get you there. Two, you're potentially giving someone who's not quite as fit twice as much work to do. You know what I mean? So Are they even still going to hit the stimulus at that point? Because now they're just doing more work for the sake of doing more work.
Yeah.
Just like our gymnastic skills. You can walk into any gym in CrossFit and say, hey, what are we scaling for pull-ups? Oh, ring rows. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
Again, are we moving towards actually getting our strict pull-ups or even our kipping pull-ups or whatever the case is? Or are we just plugging something in so that we still meet the stimulus metric?
Yeah, I mean, the answer is not just always making it easy. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you can do ring rows and you can't do a strict pull-up, doing what you can do isn't necessarily going to make it so that you get your strict pull-ups, right?
Yeah.
I would venture to make either, if you're going to do the ring rows, make them harder, right? Or do a variation of the pull-up that is going to give you more effectiveness for the muscular growth that's going to help you get there, right? For the double unders in specific, I always tell people that a big mindset part of it is the constant tripping. A lot of people will try to do their double under and try to do the double under and they'll just trip. And then 3 or 4 months go by, they still can't do double unders. Every time you look at them, they're just tripping. So I tell them, do singles into doubles, back into singles. Keep the rope moving. If the rope keeps moving, one, you're going to build more stamina because a lot of it has to do with not being able to keep that stamina at a higher jump. But two, mentally, you're not going to be defeated by the rope constantly tripping you up.
Yeah.
You know, do double unders without a rope. Just work on jumping higher.
Yeah.
I had an athlete do a one-on-one session with me the other day, and I just put my hand over her head, and I said, I want you to just jump and touch my hand. And she couldn't, and she couldn't, and then she could, and then she could, little by little. And then I said, work on that without the rope. You can do this at home by yourself. You can do this in your backyard. You can do this wherever you want.
Yeah.
Just jump as high as you
You
can.
can do it in the Metcon.
You can do it in the Metcon.
Yeah.
Work on jumping higher. If you are going to do the Metcon and do single unders, work on doing the slowest single unders you can, jumping as high as you can.
Yeah.
Control the rope. Do it slowly. Don't just knock out 50 single unders
As fast as possible.
because then you're bouncing half an inch off the ground.
Yeah. And you're not going to be able to do your dubs that
You're
way.
not going to be able to do your dubs that way.
Yeah.
The same thing with pull-ups. Sometimes I'll see people, not sometimes, I always see people just go and grab the bands.
Yeah.
And they're going to go grab the band, they're going to put it on the J-hooks, and then all of a sudden, they're on a trampoline doing
Yeah.
pull-ups. I'm like, it's not going to work that way because when it's going to be the hardest, you're making it the easiest. So, and you're also not doing it in a way where it's building any muscle because you're just bouncing up and down versus doing it slowly.
Yeah.
Go all the way to the bottom and
Pause.
slowly come up
Yeah.
and then do a negative on the way down.
Yeah.
Maybe lower the band from where you had it last time, So those are the things that and it's hard, we talk about this as coaches, we want what's best for everybody. We really want to see our athletes progress because if you're coming to the gym and you're putting all this time in and you're not seeing any progress, then it's going to be defeating for you.
Yeah.
It's not making you a better athlete, and it's probably not making you a better person, right? Because you're a much better person when you obtain a new thing, when you unlock that new skill.
Yeah.
You're like glowing, and the next day everybody's like, "Whoa, who's this person?" Oh, well, I got my first double under, so get out of my way, So we truly want to see that for people. I think athletes just have to have a more open mindset to being coached.
Yeah.
We have a lot of athletes,
Or even not even just being coached, but just having an open mind that somebody may know something that you don't. Like, I feel like that's the thing that I run into more often. It's like, hey, I've been CrossFitting for 10 years. I know how to scale this. And it's like, okay, cool. I've also been CrossFitting for 10 years and I've been coaching it for 10 years. I may know a few things that you don't about this movement, So just being open to maybe trying something different that you haven't tried, because whatever you've been trying clearly hasn't worked because you don't have the skills that you're looking for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I think the harder part with that is when you have an athlete who can do a movement, but you know that they could do it better. I have those athletes who have their double unders, right? They can do 5 at a time. So they're like, no, I have it. I've got it. Okay, cool. But you're doing 5 at a time. Yeah. It's just today's one of those days.
Yeah. Or it's the rope.
Okay, but it's been, 6 months I've been watching you do double unders. You always do 5 at a time and then you trip because you run out of steam after 5. Maybe you should work on something to try to get you a little bit more in sync with what the movement is and with what the skill is. No, I'm good. I got it. And then they'll get 6. See, I told you. And I've been there.
Yeah.
I've been there where it gets frustrating. You're trying to do it, but how many times have I come up to you like, bro, this is where I'm at. What do I do?
Yeah.
How do I get past this? And you'll tell me, go and do this. That has nothing to do with the movement. And I'm like, all right, I'm sure he just made this up, but whatever. I'm going to listen to him anyways because if I can't get it, I can't get it.
Yeah.
Something has to give, And there has been times where I've said to myself, I think Keith just told me to do this so that my mind shifts away from what I'm thinking to think something differently. But if that's what it takes, that's what it takes.
Whatever
in some cases, that's the cue that works.
Yeah.
But yeah, man, I mean, I think it does push us to be better coaches. It pushes us to have to be better coaches,
Yeah.
right? Figuring out ways to convey the necessity of, hey, this is what you're trying to get. This is why you're not getting it. Maybe try this. Oh, okay, but that's not going to work for me. Okay, well, I'll tell you what. It's probably not going to work for you, but why don't you try it and we'll know for sure. Let's give it a shot.
Yeah, let's just process of elimination.
Yeah, and you know, try it for 3 weeks. And if it doesn't work, then, you know, go back to your old way and still don't get it. But
My thing is, if I give you some quote unquote homework to do and you try it for 3 weeks, what's the worst that's going to happen? You might get a little fitter just from the stamina of you practicing this skill.
yeah,
That's literally the worst thing that's going to happen. You know what I mean? Like, if you practice, let's say we're trying to do double unders, and I'm like, okay, make sure you hold the rope and spin the handles because I want the tempo on the handles to be the same. So you practice that for 3 weeks, you go back to doing your double unders, you still don't have your double unders. The worst that happened was you got more stamina through your wrist and through your forearms, and now you may potentially have more grip strength.
yeah.
Like there is no losing here. It's not like, oh, I wasted 3 weeks. You still got some benefit out of that.
Yeah, that's true. It's like you say all the time, you know, CrossFit, even done wrong, is effective.
It's still effective.
Or can be effective. So I'm going to ask you a couple questions now. I'm going to switch things up a little bit just for fun. This is more for me than anything else.
Okay.
What is your favorite movement to coach or skill?
Ooh, favorite movement to coach.
It must not be that high on the list.
I think there's just so many. I honestly think it's just movements that I enjoy demonstrating.
Sexiest
I don't
coach in CrossFit.
I don't think it's that I enjoy teaching them. Like I really love teaching muscle ups or like bar or ring or like jerks, like split jerks or snatches, but those are just all movements that I enjoy doing, so I get to do them whenever I teach them. Yeah, I don't know if we're
But there's
talking
not-
specifically about teaching.
There's not one specific movement that fulfills you the most when you coach it and you're able to help somebody get it for the first time.
No.
No.
For me, I don't care if it's an air squat, like somebody's first like full depth air squat, or if I've been helping you trying to string 10 ring muscle ups together, or anything in between the two. Like I'll be just as excited. I'll probably be more excited for that person that got their first full depth air squat, because that person probably had much more psychological and physical hurdles to overcome than the person that's like, okay, I can do 8 ring muscle ups, but I'm trying to get to 10.
Right.
That person's probably already fit. They've been in the gym for a while. They know some of the basics. We just need to, fine tune some things to get them to that 9th and 10th muscle up. But that person that's, trying to get that full depth air squat, they probably haven't been working out for the last 10 years. They're already intimidated because of the reputation of CrossFit, and they got in the door. They've been consistent. They started working on their nutrition. They're doing all the stretches that we're asking them to do. They're excuse me, they're doing their tempo work and everything. And this is the day they go full depth and stand all the way up, and you just see that light on their face because they restored function. They're probably out of pain now. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, it just resonates with me so much more when I see that face. Like Leslie, for instance, she comes to our 6 p.m. I hadn't really been working out the last decade, been struggling a little bit with some health things, but she comes in and she kicks butt every single day, and her mobility's starting to get better. She's not in as much pain. Her blood work's starting to look a little better. So those moments, I think, for me, are just a little bit more, just the gravity of the situation hits me a little bit harder than the elite athlete that's okay, my goal is to do 30 bar muscle ups unbroken. Like, all right, go, let's do it. Like, I'm still excited for you when you hit that goal, but yeah, for
Less impressive.
not that it's less impressive, but like I said, the gravity of the situation, the severity of how much you need a full depth air squat compared to how much you need to do 30 bar muscle ups unbroken,
Yeah.
just kind of means a little bit more. Because I mean, 30 bar muscle ups unbroken is still very impressive, but it doesn't quite mean as much to me as a coach as like having somebody and restoring their function, getting them out of pain, and like giving them their life back. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm thinking like for me, anytime I see somebody get their first double under, there is a huge sense of fulfillment there, especially like I do a lot of foundations at my gym. When we go through that neurological and core assessment and we can help somebody get that first double under, for them, a lot of times it's the first time they've ever seen that. They've jump roped their whole life when they were a kid, you know, when they were in their teens, whatever. They grew up, they stopped jumping rope. You give them a jump rope, maybe they pick it up quickly. It's kind of like riding a bike. You're just going up, the rope is going around you, no big deal. When they see a double under, neurologically, which is why it's a neurological movement, they're just like, what just happened?
Yeah.
And the excitement that they get when they get one double under is huge. 9 out of 10 times they get one, they're like, hold on, I got to do it again.
Yeah.
Like now that I did it, I want to feel that again. You know, what's it called? The neurological chemical when you feel good. I forgot the word now.
Serotonin, dopamine.
Dopamine, the dopamine hit that you get when you get that, you know, and it's the same when you're in class and you're with an athlete and they see other people doing it and they're starting to like down on themselves that they can't do it. And you walk over and you just give them that one little help, that one little cue that changes their perspective. And now they get one. And all of a sudden they're just like, wow. You know, I've coached classes. Lori Theis, I want to say her name is, last name is Theis. I don't know how to say it, but she came into class and she was like, oh, I don't know, there's double unders today and never gotten a double under. And then I helped her get one double under. She ended up doing 3 double unders and she was just smile ear to ear. She was glowing. She was so excited, you know, and it's fulfilling when you help somebody because it's not just helping them get that movement, right? It's overcoming something. It's climbing over that hurdle. It's breaking that barrier. You say it however many different ways you want, but being able to get that accomplishment for an athlete is that much more fulfilling for me.
Yeah.
And it's the same with, I guess, any other movement. I think the movement that I can pinpoint the most is that one.
Yeah.
You know, I would assume, I haven't helped anybody get a muscle up, but I would assume that when you help somebody get their first muscle up, it's the same fulfillment, right? It's that same, you know, wow, I finally did this one thing that's been at me for so long, you know? We're still working on my first one, but
We'll get there, bro.
we'll see what it's like.
To your point, though, yeah, for the double under specifically, I think that's one of the movements that, like you said, they probably saw it for the first time when you demonstrate it to them in foundations. So it immediately looks like, oh, there's no way in you know what that I could do that.
Yeah.
And then you get them to do it. So you're already like forcing them to change the way they think about difficulty, right? Like literally 10 seconds ago, I thought there was no way I would ever be able to do this. 10 seconds later, I'm doing it. You know what I mean? So I think that's one of those movements that's just the most impactful, like you said, to the athlete themselves. It's one of those movements that, I mean, it's depending on who the athlete is, because there's a lot of people that think that, oh, they should already have double unders. Double unders are super easy. Like, why don't I have my dubs? And then there's other people that are like, that is the most difficult thing I've ever seen in my entire life, and I'll never be able to do it. So for those people that are like, oh, that's super difficult, and then you get them to do even just one, they're automatically reframing how they think about movements, you know?
Yeah, it is for a lot of people the CrossFit kryptonite.
Yeah.
That one is the one that gets them the most.
And it's usually one of those extremes, you know? But on that note, like, we do genuinely care about your progress. Like, we're never going to tell you anything that's like to hinder you. So if we're giving you suggestions or if you ask us for recommendations and we give them to you, you literally have no reason not to take them. Like,
True.
We're here to help.
Thank you for all your help, man.
I do my best, brother.
All right, brother. We're going to call it on this one. Thank you, everyone, for listening. Make sure that you like and subscribe our podcast. Make sure that you reach out to us on Instagram. Follow us there if you're not already following us. Shame on you.
Write us a review. All of that stuff helps us out. Thank you so much, guys, for listening.
Have a good one.
Take care.